a master's student in Instructional Technology and Media. I started in September and I hope to have the master's finished by next September. Originally Kharkiv, Ukraine, and I came to the States when I was 11. It's a number of things. In general, I loved the fact that it was in New York, but of course that wasn't the only decision, and there's more than one school in New York too. I talked to former students, and then I also talked to some professors here when I was trying to make up my mind, and it sounded like there's a good balance at TC of the kind of technical aspects and then the actual education aspects. Some of the programs I looked at were a lot more conducive to doing something like corporate training eventually, whereas I think TC is really interested in education, formal education, so it seemed like a good place for me. It's really, really good. I was really freaked out moving to a completely different city all the way across the country. I lived in California before, but I love it here, and I'm not exaggerating. I'm completely obsessed with the school. I want to stay. I applied into the doctoral program for next year, so I really like just about everything about it. I think the best thing for me is that there's a lot of opportunity for me to actually apply what I'm learning and to get in on really, really cool projects. In fact, there's too many of them to actually be able to do, which is a pain, because then all these emails will go out like, oh, someone's starting a charter school, or there's this internship, and there's only one of me, and I can't hack myself up into pieces and do everything. So I think some of the coolest things is the student-led projects or projects of former students that you can really try what you learn in class on. I'm interested right now in learning a bit more of the cognitive studies side of things, because I've had a lot of experience with being in the classroom, and I've had some experience doing instructional design where I worked before, but most of my experience is really kind of trial and error, seeing what works with students, seeing what doesn't work. What I am really interested in right now is figuring out how that learning takes place. So I'm trying to take some classes to that effect. I'm taking human development in technology, which is not in my department, and that sort of thing, like really figuring out how it is that students learn so that I can implement that knowledge in what I do. The main thing that I've been focusing on here is how games and social media programs and other more interactive things can be used to improve learning, and whether they're successful. And what I want to do with that is figure out ways to improve blended learning or online learning programs. So right now I'm more looking at how games work, and I'm working with the Games for Learning Institute, or how social media works in a classroom environment, but eventually I want to use that to look at online programs or blended learning, because I think it would be really great to improve the online learning programs that exist now. Online learning can be a really powerful tool because not everyone can necessarily get to a classroom. The two main things that I'm involved in is Games for Learning Institute, which is a group of different university faculty, so some people from TC, some people from NYU, people from Dartmouth, and corporate partners. And what we do is try to find ways that games can be used for learning, and when that's successful, when it's not. So I'm a research assistant, and I work with Dr. Kinzer and some other grad students here on that. Also a research intern for iZone, which is part of the Department of Education in New York, and they're implementing the I Learn NYC program in a lot of schools, high schools and middle schools. And so what I do is I collect observational data on how those programs are being implemented so that they can write case studies for new teachers who want to try I Learn NYC. The two things that I really enjoyed, one is I took two classes, took one and am taking one now with Professor Budin And one was democracy and technology in education. And then the one I'm taking right now is equity, ethics, and social issues in educational technology. And what I like about those is because I was a major in undergrad, and I really loved sociology, but I felt that it's not necessarily practical, because if I were to stay on that track and get a PhD in sociology, it would have been fascinating for me, but it wouldn't necessarily be something that I can easily get a job in other than just teaching eventually. Um, so what I like about those classes is they are leaning towards the sociology and philosophy types of things, and they've really shown me that even though I've chosen a kind of a more applied route in education, I can still do the things that I set out to do, which is kind of the idealistic improving the world type of thing that every social major has. And so I really like those classes because they let me combine what I'm doing now and what my initial passion was. Um, and then the other thing is Flash classes and Joey Lee's designing game class. I like those because I'm generally a school geek, and it's been a long time since something has been genuinely hard for me. And the game design class and the Flash 2 class that I'm taking now with Dan Hoffman have been ridiculously hard. Like, I actually have to sit there and figure this stuff out, and it doesn't work, and then I have to fix it, which is not something that I've experienced in a while, because I've definitely had a lot of work, but writing papers or reading is something that I'm just used to, so it's been fairly manageable. But these classes are really hard, and I like that because it kind of challenges me, and then when I actually succeed at it hours later, I'm like, oh,